Hi, I'm Rachel Barton Pine. Welcome to Family Fridays with RBP. I hope you had a nice holiday yesterday and that you're enjoying your weekend. You know, we stayed home as we were supposed to and enjoyed time with family and friends online and really had the same conversations we would have had in person. It was a little different, but still very, very nice. The one thing you can't do over Zoom, though, is chamber music. And if you're like most musicians, you're deeply missing playing music with others. And gosh, chamber music is such a wonderful social activity that when I got married, not only did I register for the usual stuff with silverware and dishes and all of that, but also at my favorite sheet music store, Performers Music, for chamber music, because I figured, well, I'll probably have just as many, if not more, chamber music parties in my life than dinner parties. Yeah, now all that stuff is just gathering dust. But in celebration of getting together and joining together with others, I've actually come up with a few different pieces for one violin alone that conjure up the atmosphere of chamber music. Bach, of course, was the culmination of a nearly century-long tradition in Germany of multiple voice writing for the little four-string fiddle. And his music was even more complicated than anything that had come before, though some people did come close. I'm going to start with his shortest of his three fugues, the G minor fugue, and each string is like a different character, and they're all in dialogue together, actually doing what you could normally never do in a human conversation, where if two people or three people were talking at once, it just wouldn't work. But in music, of course, that's just fine. And sometimes you can almost hear what might be happening in the plot, like this moment that sounds like two kids arguing. A string says, "No, it's mine," and then E string says, "No, it's mine." And then the parent comes in the room and says, "Cut it out, you guys." So it's very interesting to see all these different voices coming in and out. Bach's G minor fugue. from Sonata Number 1 in G minor by Bach. All right, well now it's time for something completely different, a little Piazzolla. People think that the tango is a type of music from Argentina, the country, which of course it is, but it would be more accurate to say that it's an urban type of music from the twin cities of Buenos Aires and right across the river, Montevideo in Uruguay. And I've had the great pleasure of hearing tango in both cities. In Buenos Aires, I heard what you might call concert tangos, up on the big stage with everybody in the audience in a beautiful fancy hall. But in Uruguay, I heard perhaps a more authentic form of tango, where I was just in a little local pub and there was a tango band in the corner, just kind of like you were hanging out at a Chicago blues bar, and people who were in the restaurant would get up and dance in the middle of their meal, and it was all very, very community feeling and spontaneous, not a whole lot of tourists there. And I'm so glad I got to experience both sides of what the tango can be. In terms of this arrangement, well, basically, Piazzolla always had a violinist in his own tango band. The violin was an integral instrument to his instrumentation. But he never wrote any concert music for this instrument. He wrote a beautiful grand tango for solo cello with piano accompaniment, and a flautist at one point commissioned him to write 6 tango etudes for unaccompanied flute, of all things. And so, because there is no solo repertoire for violins, we've been reduced to playing the flute etudes all these years, which of course are great music, but being for the flute, they have a limited range of notes, smaller than that of the violin. They don't use any violin kind of effects, nor do they ever have any double stops, because of course the flute can only play one note at a time. So I decided to take my favorite of the tango etudes, number 3, and kind of re-envision it, like what might Piazzolla have written if he had written it for the violin. And in order to do this, of course, I studied a lot of recordings of him playing in his band with his own violinists. Well, as I was halfway through this process, it struck me that tango etude number 3 is the same key and the same tempo as Piazzolla's most famous tango, the Liber Tango. So I decided to make a medley of it. And for the Liber Tango, I just simply squished the entire tango band into one violin. You'll see what I mean. Tango Etude number 3, Con Liber Tango by Piazzolla, arranged by me. All right, to finish off, I'm going to do my introduction, theme, and variations on God Defend New Zealand, which is the New Zealand national anthem. I had my first tour of New Zealand in the year 2000, and I just loved going around the North and South Islands with the National Symphony. By the way, they're the most traveled orchestra in the world without ever leaving their country, because they do regular series in all the major cities of the country. And I just loved meeting the people, seeing the amazing landscape. It actually looks like the Lord of the Rings for real. And also meeting the cute little kiwi birds. Basically, it was completely awesome. And so I decided to write a special encore for the final concert of that tour. And, you know, New Zealand didn't exist as a country per se back in the days of Paganini and Ernst and all of those guys. Paganini, of course, had written his God Save the King variations for the British national anthem. And so I was inspired by that to do this set of variations. And I was thinking about, okay, I can do this technique and the usual grab bag of different virtuoso tricks. And I was thinking about the fact that Paganini's Nel Corpo non mi sento variations have the bow playing the melody and the left hand plucking an accompaniment. And then, of course, Ernst's variations on the Last Rose of Summer have the violin bowing a descant while the melody is plucked by the pizzicato left hand notes. You can see both of those pieces in previous episodes of Family Fridays here. So I thought, okay, what could I do that would be a little different? And my husband suggested, what about if both voices play the melody in canon? And at first I was like, oh, that's a crazy idea. And then I realized if they did it in different octaves, it actually could work. And once I knew it could work, of course I had to do it. It was a real finger twister, but definitely worth it. And the funny thing is, every time I perform it, there's always a Kiwi in the audience, and people have different interpretations of what that section means, that maybe the bowing and pizzicato blending together are the North and South Islands, or maybe it's the British and Maori people or something like that. And yeah, so you can come up with whatever meaning seems best to you. But here is introduction, theme, and variations on God Defend New Zealand. introduction, theme, and variations on God Defend New Zealand. If you want to see the sheet music for that, by the way, it's in my Rachel Barton Pine collection published by Carl Fisher, along with my infamous birthday variations and a lot of my other arrangements and cadenzas for all the famous concertos. Well, okay, let me catch my breath here. To my knowledge, that's the only canon for pizzicato and bowing that exists. I've never seen one in another piece of music, but if you have, please do let me know. I like to keep track of all the pluck and play moments in all the repertoire. Okay, next week I'm going to be doing some music that swirls around in these kind of ecstatic whirlwinds of notes. Mark O'Connor's Caprice Number 7, which you probably haven't heard before, and a piece written for me by my friend Joe Denenzone, The Electric Lake of Soul, and finally the famous Harmonic Labyrinth of Locatelli. There's only 4 more episodes left of Family Fridays. Our final episode is going to be on Friday, Christmas morning, December 25th, and that'll be the wrap-up of the show, but I'm really excited to be launching a new show right at the beginning of the year, and I look forward to telling you more about that soon. Thanks for watching, and have a great holiday weekend.